Nice to meet you.
Good evening and welcome to the May 21st, 2024 meeting of the Needham Commission on Disabilities. This is a hybrid meeting with some people at Town Hall and others joining us via Zoom. Welcome to all. We're happy to have a guest with us tonight, Tyler. I'm going to botch your name, Gabrielski.
That's pretty good, right?
From the Director of Streets and Transportation. And we will now introduce ourselves to you, Tyler. I am Jeannie Martin. I am co-chair.
I'm Carol Thomas. I'm the other co-chair. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Nice to meet you.
And here in the room, Parties, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Paradise. I joined recently, I think 3 months ago.
Okay, nice to meet you.
And then Rodden, I joined last fall.
You as well.
And I'm Tatiana Swanson. I'm the liaison for the Commission on Disability. Tyler and I go way back.
So, Tyler, we have a few members who were not able to join us tonight for various reasons, but we do have a quorum. So we will proceed, and we're very happy to have you talk with us about audible pedestrian signals in town and other issues that you think would be important to be together on with the Commission on Disabilities. So take it away.
So we kind of just wanted to talk to you about, I think one of the members had reported that there might have been some areas where, like I guess, let's start with, do we have all of the audible pedestrian signals in town accounted for? Is there a plan where they're all located? Is there a plan to expand on that or replace, like how does it work to replace ones? Like, just what is the whole plan for audible pedestrian signals?
Yeah, so we don't have a central list that shows which locations have the audibles and which ones don't. It's something that we would through field verification, we can just, but for generally it's in the commercial areas and downtown areas.
Mm-hmm.
One of the challenges or one of the comments that we've gotten about audibles in the past, depending on their proximity to residential areas, and I'm not saying this is valid or not, is sometimes we get some pushback about the sound if it's near a residence. So in some areas that are a little bit closer to the residential areas, we might turn you can turn the sound up or down. Obviously you want it to be audible over traffic, but you have a little bit of leeway as to the volume of the chirping or whatever the audible signal is. There is not a overall plan developed as to convert remaining other signalized intersections. It's kind of been treated as when we do improvement projects, when we do work, when we replace existing equipment, that the default is for the accessible signals. Some of the signals that already exist might have the sound, the audible turned off if it's near a residence, like I said, but it's really kind of we want to build in that option so that we have that capability as we talk through, obviously there's a negotiation involved. We want to make sure that all of our infrastructure is accessible. But there is a little bit of pushback sometimes.
Yeah. And you said turned off. Do you mean turned off or turned down?
Both. So depending on the location, there could be equipment that doesn't have the audible turned on. I would say the vast majority of the equipment that has the audible capability, it's turned on.
Mm-hmm.
Especially those we paid for the functionality. We want the infrastructure to be accessible. They're turned on at virtually all locations. There are a few locations that We've turned down the volume of the chirping or the signal at the request of abutters to the signals. I can tell you that the new signal infrastructure that is being installed this summer on Dedham Avenue at Webster Street will have that feature, the accessible features. And I think that will be a case where we will have the chirping, we will have the audible signal turned on. But we may have to, it might not be able to be used at maximum volume. It'll still be audible over the traffic and we'll make sure we account for that. But sometimes we do get pushback from abutters that are right next to the signal that the sound can be grating for them. So there isn't it's similar to what our policy has been on ADA accessible ramps, where every new street project, where we're, apart from just kind of routine maintenance, if we're going to be paving a road, we're upgrading the ramps to ADA standards as part of that project. It's a sort of prerequisite before we go in and pave the street. And you can see that happening across town right now. Yeah, so basically in advance of any major street work, we'll be doing those ramps. So it's similar in the sense of when we design a new redesign an intersection, we're
Yeah.
changing or upgrading signals. The default is to include the equipment with those features. We just aren't always able to, it's not max volume.
So how does that process? Hey, Maureen. Maureen had just is joining us parties.
Pardee, I'd love to hear from Pardee, because I thought
Hi.
that she had some specific intersections that she was concerned
Yeah.
about.
Yep.
Yes, I had some problems with one audio signal. Which I think it was in West Street, but it has been fixed. So I have no problem now with the audio signals recently. But the problem is that some places, they don't have any stoplight, so they don't have any audio signal too, so I cannot cross that street, for example. Because I live in Hillside Avenue, so the intersection between Hillside Avenue and Honeywell, which cars are driving so fast in it because it's a hill. But there is nothing, I cannot cross it because there is no stoplight. So when there is no stoplight, there is no audio signals also. Yeah.
Like no signal at all, you mean?
Yes, no signal.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
It's dangerous, because I cannot even trust my ears and move because they drive so fast.
right. Yeah, so when we're talking about intersections that don't currently have signals, it is a capital expense to install signals at an intersection and that would require us to include those upgrades in our 5-year capital plan. Because there's significant construction work that would need to be done and to signalize a given intersection. Engineering might have their own research to do in terms of how a signal might what influence that might have on the traffic pattern at a given intersection. So it's kind of when we're putting in traffic signals in places where they don't have them already, it basically becomes a mini construction project that needs to be designed. It needs to be vetted. So it's something that would happen through our 5-year capital plan. And that's something that we plan every summer. We just actually had our kickoff meeting this morning to talk about the budgeting process for the next fiscal year and how that's going to look. And every year we have the option of refreshing, incorporating new things into the capital plan.
How does somebody go about if proposing to have a new light put in? Like, I know in the years I've lived in Needham, there was the one putting the Volantes and then like on High Street and Webster. Now those are all like,
Yeah,
those never used to be there, so.
yeah. So are you talking about like a traffic signal, like a full-on traffic signal or, okay. So there isn't, so the resident forum for adding like signage and flashing signs, and stuff like that is not really equipped to, they don't have the budget for, and it's not the method to request like a full-on construction project like that. Generally what happens is that residents petition the select board or other members, leadership members in the town, and then it's established as a priority for us in our capital planning. The DPW director, for one, you know, talking to me directly, advocating for a particular signal to be installed somewhere. Like I said, every time we put a signal in, even if it's like a smaller intersection, still necessitates a construction project that needs to be designed. So, you know, we don't have it in our budgets to accommodate those as ad hoc. So they need to be incorporated in through the budgeting process. So I think I would say for traffic signals, talking to me, talking to the director, talking to the select board, establishing a particular area as a priority, then we can incorporate it into our capital plan.
Is there a list somewhere of new ones that are on the docket already?
So the way that it's been handled in the recent past has been through our infrastructure warrant article. So there's a sort of sub program within that for intersection improvements. And that's how a lot of these signals have been changed or upgraded, is through that. Currently we have we're basically doing like one intersection per year to be designed and one to be constructed. So currently we're doing traffic signal upgrades at Central and Honeywell. That's something that we're planning to, that's been in design for this fiscal year, that we're planning to construct in the fall. While we design there's an intersection improvement involving traffic signal changes at Great Plain and Central. In terms of putting in new signals where there are no signals before, that would be sort of an expansion of that same sub program. I know that there have been other requests in the past for specific intersections that don't have signals on Honeywell, actually. But it's something that we haven't incorporated into our capital, like, depending on the scale of the intersection, it could be a major project that has a lot of engineering applications, could take a year or more to design. So the capital plan is the way to accommodate that, because then we can get those individual projects up for discussion through the budgeting process. That's a very different animal than upgrading existing signalized intersections or installing accessible features to where there's already signals. That's it's a different scale.
I'm just wondering if, parties wanted to, promote having something they have done, what would we need to do to have?
Yeah, because the town has a forum for requests that are smaller scale, like crosswalks and flashing signs and things of that nature. That's done through the Transportation Safety Committee, which I'm a part of. and we have a resident petition. Form basically that's gets submitted to us, and then we discuss it in the committee, and they do have their own. Dedicated budget to make those improvements. But that's
What is the name of the committee again?
Transportation Safety Committee.
Safety Committee, thank you.
But there isn't currently a similar sort of vehicle for larger scale capital projects because of their nature, in the sense they impact such a lot more people and a lot more money, and just I think it's kind of the people that are making decisions about the budget need to be in touch with the advocates and identifying what the asks are, and then it's up to us to kind of incorporate that into our budgets. So I would encourage us to get a discussion started with leadership in the town and figure out what would be needed for the improvements that you're suggesting, and then it would be a matter of requesting funding for a design in the next cycle, and then having it cycle through our plan, because the function of the plan is that larger expenses can be seen coming over the horizon. So that's why it's a 5-year time horizon. And other projects that are already in the queue that have been waiting for a few years, we have the discretion to switch their priority, but generally we're expected to keep things somewhat predictable so that central finance knows how to prioritize other department expenses and requests.
I have a
So is-
question.
Oh, go ahead.
Several years ago, we worked with the town to make sure that there was a different chirping noise at the two signals at on Great Plain and Highland and Great Plain and Chapel / Chestnut. Are they still different? Because there
Yeah.
was, one of the members of our commission had difficulty distinguishing those two.
So the two signals, the two intersections from each other, or the directions at each intersection?
Jeannie, do you mean that each of those intersections has a different sound so that they're not overhearing it from?
Yes, so they're not
that-
getting
yeah.
confused about which one is chirping. They
Okay.
were,
Gotcha.
they were made
From each other,
with
yeah.
a different sound. This is going back several years. Is that still the case?
I'll have to check it out in the field myself. I'm not sure. I'm
then-
also just for everyone's knowledge, I did step into this role less than 6 months ago, so I'm still
Yeah.
picking things up.
And my other question would be, are there other places in town where signals are so close together that we need to be aware of having a different sound so someone is not confused by where the sound is coming from for the particular intersection that they're at?
That could be. I think we'll have to talk about it as a group and
Yeah, because
Identify.
I know that these back here, Great Plain and Highland, I guess. That's almost 2 intersections, because it's almost like a 5-corner type situation or 3-corner situation, and there's only one that controls all of them. So I don't know that we have that problem anymore. But we will
only
have-
one that controls.
Like you only push one button and it controls crossing from Great Plain, crossing from the common to Great Plain to like CVS. And then
Yeah.
across the way to Little
Cross Center
Spoon,
Avenue.
and then
Yeah.
Little Spoon to the Little Island, and then
Yeah.
the Little Island back to the Santander Bank. So I think it's like, we may not have that problem anymore, but it will be a matter of like auditing them.
Yeah, because they have their pedestrian exclusive phases, so it's not each button at each corner is triggering the same phase for the because once the pedestrian signal goes on, it's for all crossings,
Right,
right?
right.
So all the buttons are all
Synchronized.
sending the same
Right,
message.
that's what I mean. So
Yeah.
I can't think of, I mean, and I'm sorry, where did you say that intersection was that was close enough that you can hear a different beeping sound?
Chestnut, just, you know,
Chestnut.
3 stores down or 4 store.
Chestnut
Yep.
and Great Plains, so it's just the one that's right near where Harvey's or you'd be crossing over,
Yeah.
I
so
see.
only a block apart, it's really close.
I
When-
didn't notice.
Yeah.
When
Whether-
Bruce was a member of the commission, he brought that up, that he would be standing at one intersection and it was difficult to tell
Yeah,
where the sound was coming from. So he made a point of it, and at that time, they made the sound different at those 2 intersections. But this is probably 10 years ago, so I haven't been out to check it, so I was just wondering if it's still different. Because he found that very helpful to have them have a different
yeah.
note or,
Well, I can certainly check. I've heard of different directions at the same intersection having different signals, different audible signals, but
Mm.
not
Right.
close by intersections having different signals, but that makes sense to me. As long as the existing equipment has that capability,
yeah.
that's an easy adjustment for us to make. I can take a note of it and I guess I'll talk to Tatiana, does that work?
Mhm.
She can let you all know what I find.
Mhm.
I'll make a note of it right now.
Are there any other concerns that anyone would like to bring up with Tyler?
I have another issue, if it is possible, I'll talk about it, I'm not completely sure if it is relevant. So my new problem I've recently faced with audible signals, but it is in the train and the Needham line. When I go to Boston, it is really nearly impossible to hear which stop I am. So I went with my husband, but if I were alone, I really couldn't understand which stop I have to get out of the train. So I think maybe the issue is easy, just they should increase the volume, or if it is more difficult, because you said that you are in transportation committee, I wanted to know that if medium line is related to that, or we should talk with MBTA.
Yeah, so we don't have any direct jurisdiction over the train operations. I can see if I'm sure there must be some position or office over there at MBTA that handles these kinds of requests.
Okay, we just had a meeting with the MBTA last week, actually, like Kate Fitzpatrick, me, Brett Garlick, all that, about the schedule primarily and the train ways for, but this is something we could I know the person, so I could
Okay,
certainly
good.
reach out and say, where should we direct this
Yeah,
request to, because I agree, Party, I take the commuter rail and it is very inconsistent when they, whether they announce the stops or not,
Yes.
or whether it's loud enough for you to even hear. So many times I've been reading and I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
what stop
Where
am I
am I?
at? And I
Yeah.
can't see the sign out, like, people are deboarding and I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
where am I at? Because they're not always announcing it.
I think we all have experienced that in some. point,
Yeah, the
right?
T is much better, like, that's all automated now. So if you're on the T, it automatically comes up, approaching Chinatown,
Yes.
right, arriving Chinatown,
Yes.
like, they give you 2 notices about it, it's much better.
Yes.
Murrell, not really, so I can take a crack at that and just sort of reach out to the people that we met with recently, because he knows me, and just ask, what office would handle that, and see if he can kind of direct it
That's
for us.
perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, that,
Not that I love the New York subway, but one feature I do love is that they tell you next stop is, because you can
Right.
always see
Yeah.
so they tell you where you're arriving, when you stop and when you're leaving, they're like, next stop is, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's very helpful because you can count,
yeah, well, sometimes they announce something and it's like garbled and you can't tell
Yeah.
what the heck they're saying
Yeah.
anyway, so. I don't know if that's that's something that they can, if it's an equipment limitation or some user error.
I know the towns, can I say one more thing? I know, Jeannie, I printed this out. This is the application you sent around, the municipal ADA improvement grant application. I think you sent it around. They announced that the grant application kind of process is open now until June 14th. So for grants, I just printed it out for you, Tyler, in case it's something
Yeah,
you are familiar with or not familiar with, or if the town is planning on applying for something that to help cover any costs of any of the things we've been talking about today. So
yep.
I don't know.
So I am aware of this program and
Okay.
I've actually talked with a few people about it. It seems that the main focus of the program is on building accessibility. I know it does say curb cuts on here.
Yeah,
I've talked to other communities that have done applications and other agencies. It seems as if the success rate with applying for street infrastructure is not very high.
Okay.
I mean, it's worth looking into and I'm still looking into it. But it seems like the majority of the successful applications have to do with building access.
okay,
So I did have a discussion about a month ago with one of our engineering partners, who they've done other applications for other municipalities for this grant.
yeah,
They told me they've never got.
oh, okay,
I mean, it's not to say we shouldn't try, right? But
Yeah.
it is, it seems like the majority of the successful applications are for building accessibility.
okay.
So, but thank you for bringing it to my attention because
Sure.
I can, see if we can be the exception. To the rule. But this is, a lot of people will send me grant opportunities here and there, and it's helpful, because there's so many. That it's hard to keep track.
Yes, yeah.
So Kalpana does have a question. Jeannie, would you mind recognizing Kalpana so she can ask her question?
Um,
Thank you. I wanted to just say that two signals that the chirping voice is coming not different, and still I'm facing problem while I'm alone crossing the road. Though now I have my personal care assistant all the time when I'm crossing. But at Chestnut and this near the Harvey, they are not different.
hmm,
So making a difference is sometimes very difficult. That's
Okay,
I wanted to. And one more I want to add with this, the grant application or rough, very when we had a warrant meeting, and one of the commissioners said that when they have a warrant for the affordable housing district, with that was the opportunity to apply for the grant. And it is mainly with the buildings, what they are now going to MBTA zoning, or this is the new zoning of the district. It's relate with that, not but the day-to-day for the disabled people.
yeah, I
Thanks.
think, yep, go ahead.
No, that's it. I wanted to just.
Yeah. So that does reflect what I have heard, asking around about this grant. I think, one point I want to make is that when it comes to ADA accessible ramps and other street infrastructure, it is not a matter of funding,
Yeah.
that is restrictive. in terms of upgrading every, I mean, unless we were talking about, let's do every single ramp in town this year, but for the most part, it has to do with our capacity to schedule work with contractors to do the street work. If when because we use contractors primarily for any ramp upgrades, sidewalk rehabilitations. Our in-house staff is pretty much limited to minor rehabilitation on sidewalks and sort of spot repairs. So when we're working with contractors, it's difficult to say there's a single intersection that has two non-compliant ramps that we want to upgrade to compliant status. It's extremely difficult for us to schedule to even though they're under contract with us and they have obligations to us. It's very difficult for us to schedule work on just a small area like that. So typically we have to co-locate a bunch of different locations, which is part of the reason why if we're paving, we do it then because we might not be able to have them come back later. So that and then also having the internal staff capacity to supervise the contractors to prep any areas that are going to be upgraded. So I guess that's all to say that when we're talking about ramps and curb cuts and things of that nature, it really is not so much of a funding issue as it is a capacity and getting the contractors to commit to small, trying to co-locate work with other locations so that when they mobilize, they feel like this is economically feasible for us to put this together as a project. So whenever a contractor is in an area, we'll basically try to get them to do as much as they can in a given area for ramp upgrades, for any sort of work, because we don't know when the next opportunity will be for us to make upgrades after they're done.
I have a question that's sort of related. Do you have jurisdiction over handicap parking spaces on public streets?
Jurisdiction insofar as if,
For example, there's two post offices in Needham.
Yeah.
There's one that has a parking lot and it has handicap spots, and I think the federal government was involved when they redid all that in the post office. But the other one at the Heights end of town, there's no handicap parking anywhere nearby. And is that something that the town can do easily on, because it is town property, it's not like it's post office property.
yeah, as long as the land is public, or the building is public, then that's within our power to address. A lot of the differences in between a given building having or not having sufficient is when it was built.
Yeah.
So the building code, building code and other related regulations have changed those requirements over time, and that's kind of how it's been governed. But if we're sort of retrofitting existing parking lots and
It's not even a parking lot, it's
Right in front of the street.
Right.
I-
the street,
Yeah.
Island Avenue,
Okay.
right in front of its town street.
yeah.
There's no parking lot for that post office.
So is it a parking spot now, or are there parking spots there now?
There's-
Did you say for the post
For the
office?
post office.
We have no jurisdiction over that.
Not,
On the street, in
On the
front of the
street,
post
though.
office.
so the post office in town is, got its own
The center
parking
has-
lot, it's,
yeah,
yeah, and it's
yeah.
got two handicap spots, I believe. But the one at the Heights, there's no parking lot at all, it's just public street parking,
Gotcha.
and there's no handicap parking,
I see, there's so many spaces and no,
no handicap.
Gotcha.
nothing reserved, yeah.
I don't know, do you guys have jurisdiction over that?
And then just another question is, what is the ratio of public handicap spots, in the town? Because it seems like Needham compared to Wellesley on the streets has a lot more handicap spots than Needham does. Public parking, not private parking.
Yeah, that information could be contained in the parking study that was done recently.
I know when
sorry.
we asked years ago, no one had an inventory of streets. This actually
Yeah.
came up, I don't know if Jeannie remembers the year, but it came up a few years ago. We wanted to do an audit of how many street parking,
Yeah.
handicap parking spaces were, and no one had.
Because I could tell you, essentially, there's one in front of Harvey's, what used to be Harvey's. You know, there's, handicap parking like in the town hall lot,
Mhm.
but on the streets,
There wouldn't-
that's
yeah.
the only one that I know of in
Yeah.
the town.
Mhm.
That seems a shame.
Yeah, no, that, absolutely, I feel as if that should have been within the scope of the parking study. So,
Did Amy handle that one?
yes,
I can double check with the Director of Communication and Community Engagement to see what came out of that with regards to.
and what was the location on the Heights, post office on the street in front of it? Is that, that's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. I can check that out too.
Yeah, Honeywell.
Right, or the intersection. It is a
Across from the
hard one.
7-Eleven, yeah.
Great. Well, this has been very helpful to have you at our meeting. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Tyler.
Absolutely, it was nice to meet all of you, and I got some things that I will be following up on, get you that information. Okay,
Thank you.
Great. Nice to
thanks
meet you.
everyone.
Welcome to the job.
Thank you, yeah,
Mhm.
trial by fire, right?
Did you work in another town before this?
I worked in DPW here,
Oh.
in a different role, and I was doing, in the admin, division, helping with construction, contracting and procurement. So,
Yeah, I should have done your intro. You've been with us for how long?
like 3.5 years.
3.5 years,
Yeah.
yeah.
Seems like longer. than that.
Seems like longer. I have to say, I sat in the interview panel for Tyler.
Oh,
Yeah, because back then I was still in the finance department. So, and then shortly after that, I moved over to human resources, but yeah, Tyler and I go way back.
Yeah,
yeah.
oh, it's a
Thank you
great
so
time.
much. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
no problem.
Thank you.
Happy to stop by anytime you guys have questions.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Tyler.
Tyler.
So let's pop
you.
down and now.
Thank you very
Yes.
much.
In case you have.
Okay,
Thanks, Tyler.
thanks, have a good
Take
evening.
care.
Next, we will move on to the minutes from our April meeting. I hope you've all had a chance to read them. And are there any corrections or additions that need to be made to the April 23rd minutes?
I didn't have any. None here in the room.
Okay, then do I have a motion to accept them as written
I move
Lynn
to
moves.
accept them.
and a second?
I will.
And now I need to do a roll call vote for.
Well, this is a hybrid, so I'm unclear.
Mhm.
So maybe we should just do the
call-
roll call to
Maybe
be safe.
just call, yeah, all in favor and all unopposed.
Okay, all those in favor?
I think since Jeannie and Carol are co-chairs and they're both on hybrid, we should probably do the roll call.
There
instead
you
of-
go.
Yeah, that
Okay,
way we're
hello,
safe.
Felix. I thought I recognized your voice. I don't
Yeah.
see
Yeah,
your
for some
dots
reason I
on
didn't
my
get a
screen.
panelist link, so I've been on the,
It was sent to your Gmail.
I rechecked
Yeah,
and I
I
got
don't
the
think I
email
got one
from
either.
Carol with the meeting number, so I was able to sign in through that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I couldn't,
so
I
I
didn't
don't-
get a panelist link.
I don't think I did either, because I looked for it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I don't believe, it doesn't send it every time. You have to go back to your original, because we don't change the
Oh.
link anymore.
Oh, because I
This
got
is
one
the
in
way-
March and I thought that was old,
Yeah.
because I went back to my March one.
Mhm, and it doesn't come from my inbox,
It-
so I can't find it and send it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it
You have
comes
to
from
find it in
Zoom.
your email, yeah.
It comes from Zoom. I didn't realize
It
it was
comes from
one for
Zoom,
all
yeah.
time.
Let me
Oh,
see if I
yeah.
can-
Okay. All right, so we will do a roll call vote to be safe. We're asking for approval for the minutes from April 23rd. I approve. Tatiana,
Approved.
Carol,
Approve.
Lynn,
Approve.
Maureen,
Approve.
Pardee,
Approve.
and Felix.
I'm going to abstain because I believe I wasn't at that meeting. I think,
Okay,
so I'm going to abstain on that.
Yeah.
did I miss anyone? I don't think, okay, thank you. We will move on to the chairperson's report. And Carol has an update on the program at the Center at the Heights.
Yeah, so I have been speaking with Aisha Kelly, who is lovely, and she's the program coordinator there. And she had offered us with our money, it's 400 some odd dollars, that we could sponsor like a breakfast or a tea. And there's an event on Thursday about reducing the risk of falls that sort of is in line with our mission. So we could sponsor that. And Aisha was sharing that if an event is sponsored and there's, refreshments provided, that increases the attendance by a significant amount. So, this event is on Thursday. So I just need to confirm with her that she could send out a blast, tomorrow, and we could do it on Thursday. Tatiana, I'm sort of not clear on how we handle the funds piece of it, so I need you to explain
So
that to me.
I followed up with her. She doesn't have a count yet, so I'm thinking, since you mentioned we have like around $400, something like
Yep.
that. So I'm pretty sure like 200 will probably cover it. So I just asked her to either, I happen to have a town purchasing car, or we can get a
Okay.
PO, a established vendor. So I just asked her to tell me how she would like to.
Okay,
to-
terrific. Because that's sort of what I was thinking is that seems like an awful lot for lemonade and cookies. And so maybe we could
Well,
do
this
an
is breakfast, right?
no,
was
this
just-
one is at 2:00 on Thursday.
Oh, I'm
We
sorry.
had initially talked about a breakfast event, but this one was scheduled. And so perhaps we could do another event in June. And if anybody has any suggestions and topics, because we have until June to spend our money, we could sponsor another one that are, disability themed. Lynn Croft is the presenter, and I'll include the blurb in the minutes about the event. So Tatiana, that is terrific news, because I just tried to call her earlier today that you've been in touch with her. So do I need to follow up with her tomorrow, or are you?
No, I will just ask her to confirm that, I'm sorry, I was still working on the breakfast. Snacks, it's gonna be a lot less.
Right, that's what
So,
I
yeah,
think.
maybe-
We talked
maybe
about like
an
cookies and
event in
lemonade. Yep.
June.
It's 2:00 on Thursday, but it's
Okay,
coming up.
great.
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, I'll tell her. I'm sure she already has established vendors and she can just send me the invoice that I can process. But
Okay.
I offered to pay for it if she needs to ahead of time.
All right. So
I do want to ask, I'm going through the meeting seconds. I don't know that you voted to fund that. I think you might need a vote.
okay, yeah, let's vote on that. So it would be a vote to fund the refreshments for this upcoming fall prevention program at the CAF on Thursday, May 23rd at 2:00.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And, okay, we'll do a roll call again. I'm in favor. Carol,
Yes, I am.
Tatiana,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Pardee,
Yes.
and Felix.
He's on mute.
Okay,
Yes, sorry, I didn't
Okay.
realize I was on mute.
excellent.
Does Aisha maybe have other ideas or other things on their schedule that's coming up?
Yeah, so she has already published, there's a schedule that's been published for April and May. So I think the
Mm.
June one is coming up. So I don't know if we could do an addendum to the vote we just took to, spend the balance of the money that we have on a June event, if we could come up with one, or if because we're not going to meet again until the middle of June.
June
So
18.
the 18th. So so I think they would, so let me find out when she's publishing the June schedule. April and May was already published, but
Okay.
June should be published, I would think, very soon.
But we would have to approve that now for a topic that we might not know until after we meet.
Well, I don't know how all that works. I'm sort of asking the question.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, yeah.
May I say something? June is also out,
Oh,
and
thank you.
just one suggestion. Last month, I attended the low vision group meeting, which is every alternate Thursday once in a month only. And as always, there is a very funding crisis to bring the expert to guide the low vision people or disabled people, hearing impaired or low vision. So if this funding uh, may use for bringing the Aisha can bring the expert to teach the like right now I am facing the reading on a computer. Like that, the expert can then give you the different options, resources, how you can use your iPad, certain applications, and it makes your life more independent.
Okay,
So
that's
that
a
is my suggestion.
Wait, is that through the Council on Aging, Kalpana?
Yes.
That would be
not the
perfect.
CAF, Center at the Heights.
They're the
Yeah,
same thing. Council on
the
Aging
same
and-
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, so I could talk with Aisha because she had asked me, did we have any suggestions? I think supporting a low vision group would be terrific. And I think if it couldn't be that hard to find an expert. Lynn Croft, for example, does this for free. And so we're just sponsoring the refreshments, but we would still have, a couple $100, or even if we went into next year's budget, I think that would be a great plan.
Yeah.
To get some kind of an expert to talk about, how can you use the technical tools like your phone and iPad to help, with low vision.
And different resources from the mass health that
Yep.
they provide the different like somebody has a driving issue, then they provide you the information about the different agencies who can give you the door-to-door service.
Yeah, so let me talk to Aisha about that. And Kalpan, if you have any, specific suggestions, you can feel free to contact me as well via email.
And
And
is it called Low Vision Group, Kalpana?
Yes.
the Low Vision
Okay.
Group. Yep.
And it's coming on 9th of June
Okay. So
at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, so I'll ask her about the June 9th low vision group to see what we could do to support that with the money that we have. And I think it would also be good, if there's a hearing group or something like that, for the coming fiscal year.
1 week is a hearing group and 1 week is for the low vision.
Yep. All right.
They always need the funding, and they always need something to also snacks. But apart from that, I have seen at the cat that so much they have a food in the morning, like it's there. All the refrigerators are full of food.
Yeah. All right. So that's terrific feedback, Kalpana. So I'll follow up with Aisha tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yep.
so do we can take a vote now in advance of this June 9th meeting? So that,
Sure. I
You
could say, yep,
You could vote
to spend
to
the balance of our money.
empower-
Yep.
You can vote to empower the chair to approve funding for that speaker.
The June 9th low vision support group. Yep.
okay,
And then when we have the information, I will just come to you to approve it.
Okay. I like
Does
that.
does that work? Okay.
Works for me.
do we have
Sorry, I made a mistake in a date. It's at 6th June.
Okay. June 6th.
June
Got it.
6th
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
at 11 o'clock.
June 6th. Thank you.
do I have a second for that motion?
I second.
And we will roll call again. I am in favor. Carol,
I am too. I approve.
Tatiana,
Yes.
Lynn,
I approve.
Maureen,
I approve.
Hardy,
Yes.
and Felix.
Yes.
Okay, great.
So the motion is to empower the chair to authorize spending of the NCOD's funding for a speaker at the Low Vision Group meeting on June sixth at the Council on Aging.
Yep.
It's a long motion.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Did you have anything else, Carol?
Nope, that was it. Thank you so much. Yep.
Then we will move on to the ADA liaison report. Tatiana?
Actually, could we let Kalpana talk to us about
Yeah.
yeah, the town meeting? Because it's part of advocacy.
So what you were talking
Yeah.
about earlier, Kalpan, we now need to have it in the official part of our meeting, your concerns at town meeting.
Concern was that the study has been made by NHA about the development, and engineers found at the Chestnut Chamber Street behind, between the Chestnut Street, there is a triangle which is still owned by the town, and no one knows who is looking after. But this changing of zoning, like an affordable housing district, are town meeting members who are proudly saying their precinct like a very good precinct, indirectly that not in my neighborhood, because there is a lot of oppose about the MBTA zoning having a more housing. And
Wait. Wait, Kalpana, I think we wanted to just hear about the large print situation.
oh,
Yeah, sorry, we really don't have any jurisdiction over other town
yes,
meetings.
no one has, but
Yeah.
that is I am not any against about it, but
Okay.
The large print this time not print out, which is I feel that ignoring the people who have a low vision or disability.
Okay, so the large print town warrant was not available upon request, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so they did bring that to my attention, and I did ask them to make it available to you, and they did, but I think the
Yes.
recommendation is that we have some copies available upon request rather than waiting for people to request them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Thank you, Kalpana. I can
when
take
I
that
had a
back.
talk with town clerk, and she was surprised that I was the only one asking about. No one has asked about, and many people will be shy about going to the town hall and
Yeah.
ask for. So that's what my point is, that considering the low vision or hearing impaired, something has to be taken care by the town select board or whoever is in charge of this town clerk.
Yeah, so I will bring it back to the office of the town manager because they actually put out the town warrant. So I think we can have a plan for next year to make sure that we have large prints available at the window in case anybody requests them, or we can mail them out to your home. As far as the hearing impaired, in the past, we've had some audible devices that amplify voices. I don't know if that's something that would help in this situation.
Sure.
Okay, but I can talk to them about, upcoming public meetings and, what sort of information we can have available.
Sure, and
Ever
one
been
more,
a request for a sign language interpreter at town meeting?
No one has made a request, no.
yeah, no one has made a request, and no one realized also that. And one more, this last town election day, because I am appointed for working at the poll, and I found that there was a missing of magnifying glass or adjustment for the disabled people.
At the precinct voting?
Sounds like the poll,
Yeah,
the
precinct.
election, yeah, the polling,
Polling center.
same polling, yeah, sites.
Okay, the polling sites did not have a magnifying glass?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
and no one for the assistant like a audio anything that they can person can listen and do the things, because the privacy matters. So we no one can help them, but it has to be in the box with the kids.
Okay, thank you so much.
There's supposed
you
to
for
be a
recognizing me.
Caremark machine at each polling, at each precinct, correct?
There's supposed to be a what?
I think it's called Caremark. It's a
Yeah.
special,
Yeah, we do have them. They're very underutilized. I don't think they're really used, but I don't know that that's the same thing as Calpan, because Calpan is asking for a magnifying glass. Which I'm sure we can, I can definitely take it back to the town clerk and see if there's something that we can accommodate in the future.
Yes. Thank you.
thank
Thanks.
you, Kalpana.
And thank you for recognizing me.
Mhm. Okay, back to you, Tatiana.
So, the update I had was, on the mailing. Unfortunately, Karen has not been around, and, I don't have a list of businesses to mail. I have the letter and I dug up the letterhead, but I don't know which businesses they had identified as problematic, or businesses that we had, that we could, contact.
Okay,
I do want to bring something up. I recently went over to Abbott's on Great Plain Ave, and I noticed that Little Spoon has chairs outside, with the nice weather and everything. I don't know that they leave enough space for accessibility. Just walking through didn't seem like enough space, and I'm not sure, is that you, Felix, now? I don't know who's
So that would really be the building inspectors.
the building inspectors,
Yeah,
okay.
because they have to comply with 521 CMR. I'm happy to look at it. I'm going to probably drive by there tonight anyway.
Uh-huh.
But the enforcement on it really goes to the building.
I don't even know that is the building department. When we dealt with the
It is,
outdoor.
because they have to
complex-
comply with 521 CMR, which all of the public walkways and everything need to comply with as well. And so they have the enforcement authority over that.
Well, in the past, we would initiate the conversation through advocacy.
So we can, and I'm happy to go by Little Spoon and talk to them if that's what the group would like me to.
Yeah, well, I didn't have anything to measure. It was just like all through the naked eye. It just didn't seem like enough space.
Yeah.
Um,
I can probably swing by tomorrow to take a look.
okay,
Great.
thank you. And then, I'm sorry, you had asked me. One second, you had asked me for an update on something else. The town social media guidelines. Yes, we do have a policy, that applies to, town employees, so it doesn't apply to boards and committee members. And we have a policy on both, employees' personal use of their own social media in where they might represent themselves as employees of the town. And we have a policy for access to the town social media. So for those of us that regularly update the town social platform, we also have a policy on that. And that's it. And then the last thing is our sustainability coordinator, Gabrielle Queenan, would like me to I just got this, but the Climate Action Plan Committee is hosting a meeting to introduce Needham's first ever climate action roadmap. This event will likely include an overview of the roadmap and the process by which it was developed and a brief presentation of accomplishments to date. There's a lot more information about this, but it will take place on June 5th from 6 to 7 here in the town hall. I will forward this information via email. If anybody would like to attend, I was asked to share it with the boards and committees.
Great.
And I just, sure, and I just wanted to revisit a topic that we had voted on a couple of months ago, or last month rather, regarding the Needham Business of the Year. I know Karen had put this, notion forth that we should recognize businesses that are friendly to the differently able community, and she had a really good experience with Serenity Nails. And so I was getting ready to order the plaque and everything, but I kind of just wanted to bring back the discussion to, are we calling it Business of the Year? Because that seems like a recognition that is sort of, I think we had talked about establishing a program for how to nominate businesses, and what is the criteria, and what is what is it going to look like? What are the parameters moving forward? And while I think that we should recognize Serenity Nails, I just don't know that we have enough of a program built to call it Business of the Year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm just nervous about if there's a select board that walks in and sees that, if they're gonna be like, well, why? Under what criteria was this recognized as Business of the Year? So I wanted to propose that we change the wording to recognize their trying to think of the word, but their accommodation of people with disabilities and excellent customer service, rather than Business of the Year until we have that program built.
I think that makes sense, yeah.
Something about, I don't know, user friendly, accessible, something like that.
Something like that, like in recognition of your friendliness towards the
Yeah.
disabled community and your accommodation of people with disabilities in your business.
Yes.
The Needham Commission on Disabilities, like almost like a gratitude plaque rather than an award.
Yeah.
That,
Right,
I agree.
yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Mhm.
especially, anytime a business gets an award, it becomes controversial. Why didn't I get it? And that kind of thing.
Right.
Yes.
And if someone was to ask me, like, well, how did this come about? I don't have anything to point to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
this is the Business of the Year award that we
Yeah.
created. So and I know we talked about putting some parameters around that in the coming months,
Yeah.
how do people submit a recommendation? What is the criteria? Do we do this yearly, quarterly as they come? And I feel like until we have that done and blessed by everyone, that we really shouldn't be nominating businesses of the year,
Yeah, I agree.
And
so.
Business of the Year connotes a business each year,
Yeah.
and I don't think that's what we want to do.
Yeah, I think we could maybe figure out what the better language is for that. I'm
Yeah.
not sure that's the best choice either.
Yeah.
I don't think we would want to be limited to one per year either.
No.
No.
Like, we
No.
could get some great nominations.
You
and-
could recognize a number of
Yeah.
people that were, people have had really good experiences, so.
Yeah.
So anyway, but and also like, this is what also made me think of it, but somebody shared with me a negative post about
I saw that.
about a business, and I just, if anybody says, well, why did you recognize another business? I had a horrible,
Yeah.
I just wanna be like, no Business of the Year, maybe just, hey,
Yeah.
thank you for,
Yes.
Yeah.
for your contribution to the community.
Right. Maybe a new, like, good neighbor award or
Yeah,
good
yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that, like.
something like that.
That's not gonna be an annual thing, but just an ongoing thing.
Right.
Right.
And then it could have language underneath it, like whatever we name it, then add a little explanation underneath it.
Right,
for, you know.
right, or, you know, recognition of your, I think I like what you said, recognition of your willingness towards the disabled community and your accommodation of people with disabilities, I
Right.
think. Well, I think it does what we wanted to do for the business without getting us into hot water in case someone thinks we're.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that.
Okay, we will move on to committee updates. We do not have a representative from the school department again.
Mhm.
We will move on to accessible parking. We've touched on that a little bit, but Felix, do you have anything to add?
Nothing yet. I'm still getting my head above water, but the season is now, so I have 2 sites that I need to look at with the building department before I start advocacy. Both of them are the Dunkin' Donuts sites. Because we have the one that I've talked about extensively on Chestnut Street, but the one on Highland Ave, I want to see what their site plan approval says, if they are supposed to have 1 accessible spot or 2, because it looks like there used to be 2, but there is now only 1. And so I want to see before I start engaging them,
Yeah.
look into that.
And do you have Sudbury Farms on your list as well?
That's on my list as well.
Okay, yeah, great, thank you.
Yep, I know we discussed that a couple of months ago.
Uh,
Okay, great.
yeah.
Thank you, Felix.
Thank you.
May I add one thing? The library feasibility and cinematic study money has been approved. Can we, I mean, a committee can have any one word about that parking near the cross line or on the cross line and near the gate, which is difficulty for the disabled people to go and cross the road in a parking lot of the library. I think way back this was some another citizen also brought it.
They have a sign, if you're, you talking about the rear entrance?
Yeah.
Because there is a sign that they have that they used to put out by the back entrance that says no standing or parking. And I have been in the library a couple times recently when I didn't see the sign and talked to the people at the circulation desk and asking why it wasn't out there. And one time, one person said, oh, they just get lazy about putting it out there. Or they forget.
Even they put it over there, no one read it, and then people still park over there, go inside and return the books and then come back, which takes nearly like 5 to 10 minutes, and that period everything is blocked over there.
The sign doesn't guarantee that they won't do it, but I think it might help. And I think we need to encourage the library to have it out there daily.
We do have a new director of library, as I mentioned
Yes.
last meeting. I'm happy to just send them a quick email and say, hey, can we look into this?
And now from 31st, 3 days, the library book sale is there. So it will be more and more that people will park right at the cross line.
Yeah.
And
Are
it's
you talking about the fire
lane?
Okay, right, where, and they park right in front of the curb cut, right?
Right.
So,
Crosswalk,
Yes,
too.
yes.
Crosswalk
Yeah.
and the fire lane.
and
so
people
they're
park
blocking
there,
both.
okay.
Yeah. And it happens all the time. Every
Yes.
time I'm here, it happens.
Yep.
So it's not effective. Even the signs it's just not effective at all.
No, but
That's
now they are going to do the cinematic design and the feasibility study just to have a because the new executive director, and he might not be aware of all problem.
Yeah,
I think somebody brought it up at our meeting. One of the meetings was to do something, suggested doing something like what's right out front, in front of town hall, where you have the orange kind of like
the
barricade kind of-
Jersey
because
barriers.
it would make it impossible for a car to park there. If something like that were in place, it would give you access directly to the crosswalk, but a car could not block it.
Is that because it's the emergency lane? Was the idea shut down because it's the emergency lane
I
or?
don't know. I'm not sure if the idea was floated like to the town. I don't know if it ever got that point, but I do remember that being part of the conversation.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's something they would ever go for, but
Okay,
People
I
are
can send an
very-
email.
very inconsiderate parking there. Very, very inconsiderate.
Yeah, it makes me crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, I can follow up with the library and see where the director stands.
Thank you.
Okay, Lynn, do you have anything to report on the diversity initiative?
No, there are a couple of meetings coming up in the next, well, one tomorrow night, one the following week and the following week. For the, Race Amity Day, which is Sunday, June 9th from 3 to 5 p.m. But I was looking at their website today and there's nothing posted about it whatsoever, so I actually sent Rebecca, an email and I said, you know, post something that's coming up soon, but that's all I knew.
And what's the time, Lynn, June 9th?
3 to 5 p.m. on
3 to 5 p.m.,
Sunday,
thank you.
June 9th, which is great because that's, you know, after all the other activities on the Sunday.
That's a race, right? Is it do they do a
Yes.
race?
Yeah, yeah, Amity is sort of a,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, we can't close the door.
Oh, yeah.
It's a public meeting.
Oh, can I just close it over a little bit?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because of the noise, right?
Yeah, no,
I know,
that's
I
all.
was thinking
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
Thank you, Lynn. Maureen, first local emergency planning committee.
They did not meet last month. They skipped a month and they're gonna be meeting again in June, but they did not hold a meeting. So I don't have anything to report.
Okay, now put your other hat on. Autism Alliance.
Yes, this just is the never ending story of trying to get businesses to train their employees. We now have the common room is going to get their training done in the fall. I think it's in October.
Mhm.
And then I don't know what's with Michelson's. I've asked them again another time, and they still haven't kind of committed to an exact date or anything like that. They do have and I had said, you can talk directly to them at the Welcoming Alliance and just, you know, schedule it, because I don't need to be involved in the scheduling of it. So I can check on that. I don't think anything's happened, I'm gonna guess. But Valenti Farms, I reached out to, and they were, you know, Dave Valenti got back to me immediately. As soon as I sent that email, he was like, sure, we'd love to do that. Like, give me more information. And he CC'd his, you know, farm manager and somebody else that does their HR and on the same email. So it was great, a lot of enthusiasm. So I've been in touch with them. I've connected them to the, you know, Autism Alliance. And I checked in with them today to say, has that training been scheduled? Where are we at? Whatever. And it sounded like Valenti had difficulty getting a response from somebody at the Autism Alliance. So she said, it's on my list to actually follow up tomorrow. I'll send an email. I'll try to reach out. And I said, if you have trouble, let me know, because I'll reach out too. And hopefully with a couple people nudging, that'll get their attention. So that's kind of where things stand right now.
Well, that's exciting. Good work.
It would be really
Absolutely.
exciting, Jeannie, if somebody would actually schedule the time and do it, but yes, I was glad to see that they were really very, very interested in participating, so that made me feel good. And I wasn't surprised, they're a great town, community kind of supporter, so I
So I
thought
think Karen mentioned Volantes, right? Or somebody.
Karen may have been the one, Karen, yeah.
I'm like, that sounds perfect.
Yeah, so hopefully, I'd love to say it by our next meeting, I'll have you know, some actual dates and things that are confirmed. But we'll keep plugging away.
Okay. Excellent. Is there any other new business?
I
that we-
have new business.
Okay,
Um, I was asked by Heidi Frail, who's a member of the select board, to meet with Paul Ruvolo, who's a local Olin College professor, and Shane Lowe, who's an entrepreneurial lead, with a request to maybe come and talk to the Commission on Disabilities at the June meeting. They are currently developing a prototype for technology that would allow people with low visibility or visually impairment to navigate a building. So it will be like you download an app. It will be like you download an app and basically it will guide you through the building. So for example, you could download the app and then enter Town Hall Needham. And then when you came in, like, it will recognize where you are and tell you to your left is the town hall, it's the office of town manager. You know, to the right is the town clerk. If you keep going ahead, is human resources. So you know what I mean? Like it'll give you a layout, but they're in the very early stages of this program and the software. They're not sort of ready to, you know, move commercially, but they want to talk to the commission about feedback, about who do we think will benefit from this? How do we think we can help incentivize businesses to acquire the software? Because businesses could buy it for themselves, you know, and then sort of make it available to, like, you know, you have to kind of sign up to have the software triangulate your business. And then it would appear on the app for a person to use. So they were hoping that we could get them in for the June 18 meeting.
Yeah, sounds great.
yeah,
To test it, if they want to use it and test it, if it works.
I think we should definitely bring that up, but you know, parties, if you want to volunteer to test it, I think they will probably love that.
It
Terrific.
seems interesting, you know.
I thought it was an interesting concept. Like I said, it's not like it's ready yet for commercial use, but they're kind of hoping that we will have some feedback and some more, you know, more context to it to try to understand how we can make this a widespread tool. So I'll work with them on setting them up for June 18.
yes, that would be great.
One interesting thing is that I talked to them about, because, you know, an idea was that if businesses needed motivation, we could do it as a grant. You know,
Oh, right.
you know, if someone did not want to, you know, invest the money, like, you know, French Press or somebody like that, we could do it as a grant and have them pay for the cost of the. And I was explaining sort of how it worked with Autism Alliance, and he's like, well, how many people signed up for that? And we're like, well, you know, we have one person and another, and they're like,
Yeah,
why wouldn't people do it? They were shocked that people were in like
Me too.
breaking down our door for
Me
this.
Yeah.
So hopefully, you know, when we get to that point, we'll have more buy-in.
yeah. I hope we actually do have somebody like Common Room or Valentes who's done it. We get pictures up online and they'll, I mean, the Common Room guy was already like, it's gonna be up on all of our social media. And so I'm like, great, that's then hopefully gonna get the attention of other businesses. That's my hope anyway.
Yeah.
They just gotta get that first company or restaurant or whatever to actually go through with the training.
I think if we can like then blast that on social
Right,
media,
yeah.
it's gonna motivate more people to jump on board.
Yeah.
But that was it. I'll work with them on the June meeting.
Great.
Anything else?
I just have one more correction. I just, while we were talking, I emailed Aisha, and the low vision group is on June 13. She confirmed the date, June 13.
All right,
June
perfect.
13 at 11?
Yeah, yes.
Yep, and I'll call her in the morning, Kalpana.
Yeah, but I
Perfect.
wanted to make sure about the date, so I text her and she replied me that it is on June 13.
Great.
And can I say one quick point about accessibility of businesses? I think one good point, if they pay attention in businesses, for example, about restaurants or cafes, if they have their menu in Braille, it's really, it's really helpful. And they can do it for a very, I mean, it's not expensive at all. They can have one menu in Braille. So there is a National Braille Press in Boston, and near Northeastern University. So I think they can make them ready for any businesses they want. So it shouldn't be, I think it doesn't cost more than, I don't know, so it should be very cheap. So I think it's good to have a one menu in Braille.
Yeah, I agree.
Felix, are you still on? Because I'm wondering,
Yes, I am.
are they required to have a menu in Braille?
I don't believe they are.
I don't believe they're required, no.
It would be a very nice gesture, a very
Yeah.
nice thing.
It would be
for-
nice, but I
That's
don't think
fine.
they're required to.
But I mean, along the lines of autism awareness and perhaps the software, if we put it out there that we will specifically pay for something,
Yeah.
Right.
that might also, motivate restaurants to be like, I'll take that, like, because
Right.
they may not be thinking about it or have not looked into it or thought it was a necessity.
Right,
Or know how to do it. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, where do you go
Yeah.
to get those
Yeah.
printed or, yeah.
Anything else? Well, thank you, everyone. I think we've had a very productive meeting.
Yes, and glad you could all be there together in person. I'm
Yeah,
especially
we missed you
for a party.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I wish I could. It's hard for me now that I've taken on a role as building commissioner in Fitchburg. It's a little
Oh.
harder for me to get into town on Tuesday.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I didn't want to spread my germs, so it's probably good.
I have a question. Did we plan to meet a hybrid again in June?
We talked about September at the police station.
Okay.
But I'm certainly open to whatever the group thinks.
So I just wanted to point out that I will be remote myself on the June meeting because I have to travel.
Yep.
I will connect remotely. So if we need to book a room and all of that, I have to kind of have someone else run the meeting. You know what I mean?
I think we should go back to Zoom for June and try the hybrid again in September.
Yep,
I
I think
will
that
be-
sounds like a good plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll remind Officer Scoponetti to save us the police station.
Yeah.
For September.
Great.
All right.
Thank you again, everyone.
Thank
So,
you.
I won't be here for the
You.
June meeting. I'll be away,
Oh,
so, yeah,
lovely.
be up in Maine.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Jeannie, do you have to take a motion to adjourn?
I think
I'm
she
sorry,
does.
that I forgot.
Yep.
I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I'll
Is
second
there a
it.
second?
I will.
All right, meeting is adjourned. Madam Chair?
Do we need a
I
roll
think we
call?
should do a roll call on that.
Carol,
Yes, let's adjourn.
Tatiana,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Felix,
Yes.
Jeannie, yes. And so adjourned.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, good night.
Okay, good night, everybody. Thank you again, Kalpana.
Thank you.